Hey guys and girls, and welcome for the first time ever to Wolf Throne Gaming. My name's Wolf, and I'm glad you're here. Now, to start off, we are going to be playing Darkest Dungeon. This is going to be our first Let's Play series, and just a little bit about the game if you're not familiar with it. It's developed by a indie studio called Red Hook Studio, and they were a very successful Kickstarter, actually. Now, I've been following them for a while now, and now I didn't actually back the Kickstarter myself, but I found out about them a little later when they had a little bit of a demo, and eventually, obviously, I picked up the game when it came out in full release. Now, as you can see, I do have a file on here, Ravenloft, got to go with classic D&D lore, as you will. But basically, what I'm going to be doing is we're going to start a brand new game. I'm going to start from the very beginning. I am going to do some changing with the options because I would say some of the options that they included I don't really like, and I think that they just take away from the game. And now, obviously, there are those that can disagree, and that's totally fine. But I would say, for example, like the corpses option, I usually play without them because it just adds a little bit more headache than it needs to be. So first off, let's name our very first place here. Gotta make it, go with the theme here. Let's do Wolf Throne. And before we start this guy off, I'm actually going to, I'm actually going to start with a cinematic because there's two cinematics at the very beginning. Now, when you boot up the game, there is a beginning one, but as we skipped through that accidentally. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play it for you guys. If you haven't seen it, please feel free to watch. If you have, or if you are familiar with the series and familiar with the cinematics, please skip right ahead. But for those who aren't, I'm going to start it. That way you can get a feel of the game. With it being, at least by the time of this recording, with it being around Halloween time, and all the spooky things about, and this game does have some pretty interesting lore and feel to it, very Cthulhu-esque.
Ruin has come to our
give it
family.
a watch right here.
You remember our venerable house? Opulent and imperial, gazing proudly from its stoic perch above the moor. I lived all my years in that ancient, rumor-shadowed manor, fattened by decadence and luxury. And yet I began to tire of conventional extravagance. Singular, unsettling tales suggested the mansion itself was a gateway to some fabulous and unnameable power. With relic and ritual, I bent every effort towards the excavation and recovery of those long-buried secrets, exhausting what remained of our family fortune on swarthy workmen and sturdy shovels. At last, in the salt-soaked crags beneath the lowest foundations, we unearthed that damnable portal of antediluvian evil. Our every step unsettled the ancient earth. But we were in a realm of death and madness. In the end, I alone fled laughing and wailing through those blackened arcades of antiquity, until consciousness failed me. You remember our venerable house, opulent and imperial. It is a festering abomination. I beg you, return home, claim your birthright, and deliver our family from the ravenous, clutching shadows of the darkest dungeon.
All right, so as you can see with that, the story theme of the looks like our setup here left away. But the story and theme of the whole game is very, well, I would say, for lack of a better word, dark, because it has to deal with basically dealing with like Cthulhu as sort of beings. I don't want to spoil it too much, so why don't we just jump right into it, and let's see here as we go along. The game itself is turn-based, and we're after this shortcut scene.
You will arrive along the old road. It winds with a troubling serpent-like suggestion through the corrupted countryside, leading only, I fear, to ever more tenebrous places. There is a sickness in the ancient pitted cobbles of the old road, and on its writhing path you will face viciousness, violence, and perhaps other damnably transcendent terrors. So steel yourself, and remember there can be no bravery without madness. The old road will take you to hell, but in that gaping abyss, we will find our redemption.
Alright, and we're going to jump right into it, obviously after a loading screen. So, again, as I was just briefly touching base on earlier, it is a turn-based strategy game. It's basically, you could have a 4-person party. At the very beginning, we're going to start with 2 people. Our very famous heroes here, Dismas and Reynald. Well, first things first, as I put up more episodes through this, if you guys want, please feel free to leave a comment if you want either of these our upcoming heroes as we're going to be gathering, some name changes or anything special like that. Please feel free, I'm more than willing to. But just a few things about the game if you're unfamiliar. It's a turn-based strategy game. Every hero has their own abilities, their own strengths, their own weaknesses, and you're allowed to equip 4 different skills. And so the nice thing about that, so let's say right here we have a Crusader, this is Reynald, and right here we have a Highwayman. They're going to have different skills and different things that are definitely special to them. I don't want to get too much into it at the moment. As we go along, we'll see for ourselves here. But for example, with Reynald, he's a Crusader, he's a Holy Warrior. As you can see, one of his quirks is a Warrior of Light. That means he does more damage with Torch. And he's God-fearing, which means that he can only pray during the basically rest period when you're in the town. As we go along, I'll explain more.
Brigands have run up these lanes
because there's a fair amount of mechanics at play.
The hamlet is just
but
ahead.
First off, let's just go through how, when you're actually playing, how it works. So first off, as you can see, we got a little bit of tutorials here.
Dispatch this thug in brutal fashion, that all
But
may
the main
hear
thing
of
is
your arrival.
that as you go along, you kind of move through these paths, as you were, and you can move through these mazes. And so let's see here, Dismas, he's got faster speed, so we go and we slash at this guy, but we don't get any debuffs. So nice thing about all these different skills is that they have varying effects for your character. For example, like a stunning blow, which is, you know, you stun the enemy for 1 round if it's successful, and by doing so, that enemy won't be able to go during their round. The following round, they might have higher stun resistance, and so on and so forth. So right here, let's just try to smite this guy. That was quick and easy. Now, another major thing is we're looking at the screen right here. We can see this major glowing torch, as it were. This is probably the biggest mechanic of the entire game, is the torch. So as you move along, torch will slowly go out. First, vault. Let's loot this tent here. As you go along the game, you'll find many
Leave
objects
nothing
that
unchecked.
you interacted with.
There is much to be
Some
found in
are good, some
forgotten
are
places.
bad, and the big thing about this game is that it's... Sorry, I'm just gonna let those voices as we go over because the voice acting in this is amazing, in my personal preference. But the main thing to notice is that as we go along, like this tent
An
that we
ambush.
just passed,
Send
you might
these
be able to
vermin a
find
message.
special things like
The
gold
rightful
or
owner
things
has
along those
returned,
lines. But
and their kind
as the
is
game
no longer
progresses, you'll
welcome.
find more and more strange things. Alright, so again, since we got a good place, I can explain a couple things. So how turn order works, it goes by speed. Usually you won't know the enemy's exact details. As you hover over, you can get a basic sense, but as you fight the enemies themselves, almost kind of like Pokemon in the sense that like you can understand how an enemy works after you kind of play against them at least once or twice. So right now we don't know because the first time we're meeting these, it's a Brigand, Bloodletter, and a Fusilier. But we do see that their stats at the bottom, and you can see the resistances: stun, light, bleed, debuff, and those are the main key facts to keep aware of. So we look at this guy; he's a big, beefy guy. Assume probably is going to be doing some damage, and behind him there's a smaller guy with a gun. Now, with these big targets, they actually take up 2 slots. As you can see, I can't target this guy, so we got to focus on this first target. So let's try to give him slash. And it's kind of moderate damage, sadly. Let's see here. All right, and a lot of times, their attacks might have status effects as well. So we look at our buddy here at Dismas. He's got -2 dodge for 2 rounds. Then he can't really move out of the way of attacks as well. So we're just going to go straight in, focus on damaging this guy. Let's see what happens here. Okay, and let's see. Let's focus on the back line. So far, things aren't going too great. Let's see if we could try to stun this guy here. And he's resisting. I'm just not getting great energy in this game. Let's see. Okay, another major mechanic that we should touch base on is you just saw a little thing kind of pop up on our heroes' heads there. That's the stress meter, which is this guy right down here. The stress of your characters are probably just as important as the health of your characters. As you go through these hellish battles and fight these unspeakable horrors, your characters, your heroes, go through stress. And for the most part, you don't want them to reach 100 because what that means is that it's almost like they're getting so freaked out that a negative effect might take hold of them. Like they might become irrational, they might become abusive, they might become you name it. There's a chance that they might, by kind of reaching this mental breaking point, that something good might happen. Dodged again. That something good, like they might become more forceful, or they might, or rather that they might become more focused. That they, like in some instances, that like if I become so stressed, sometimes the hero might have a chance to actually break through that. Let's see, Dismas is getting slowly stressed out. And the nice thing though is that this is the tutorial battle. We're taking it nice and slow, just the very beginning. And for this very first episode, we're going to be focusing, we're going to be doing this, obviously, this quick tutorial battle, and then we're going to be
Their
doing
formation is broken. Maintain
actual
defensive.
excursion, which is almost kind of an addition to the tutorial. And then from there, we'll see what time-wise, see what you guys want to do. Oh, and here's the other thing I was saying before with corpses. I'm not going to be playing with them. After this fight, I'm actually going to turn them off and we'll go through. And I'll let you guys know exactly what I'm going to be doing. But it's one of those things that they added later in development that I personally don't like. Some people do, and nice thing is that you can turn them on or off, no problem. And a nice crit. thing with corpses is that they take up a slot of the roster, and so something that I haven't touched base on quickly do is that actually, you know what? We'll hold off on that when we have 4 people, and I'll explain that in a sec. Let's return to the hamlet here. Now that chest, I purposely left it. What it is that it's a trap that for new players as you're playing the game. It's to teach you that, you know, some things aren't good. They may look nice and fun, or like a chest, for example. You go, it's like, oh, hey, you know, maybe I can grab some gold in here. No, it's trapped. And then you... Oh, that's really...
Welcome home, such as it is. This squalid hamlet, these corrupted lands.
Our agility guy.
They are yours now.
Not too great.
And you are bound to them.
And here is our beautiful, amazingly, just our beautiful man right here, our caretaker, and I say that with utter disgust.
Women and
basically,
men, soldiers
there's a lot
and
of different
outlaws,
goals throughout the game.
fools and corpses.
Let's see here. First of all,
All will find their way to us now that the road is clear.
So, how hiring new adventurers work? So you're always going to get these 2. This is a plague doctor, and then I get a bestial. Every time you have a successful expedition, as you were, or really even anytime you have a successful expedition, a week passes in the game, and so it's a way so you can get more new heroes, and as we go through, we can expand the barracks and
what better laboratory than the blood-soaked battlefield?
So the stagecoach, that's where we're going to hire our heroes. So first, let's grab the
A
plague
sister
doctor.
of battle, pious and unrelenting.
And our bestial. There's actually a fair amount of classes in the game.
Most will end up here,
my favorite
covered in the poisoned earth, awaiting merciful oblivion.
We will. Here we go. And here's our caretaker again, pointing us where a lot of heroes will eventually end up, because this game is, first of all, it's always set in a Iron Man mode, which, if you're not familiar, basically what that means is that you have one save, and so if something bad happens, you know, your favorite hero dies or something, you know, something that you want to do, basically the choices that you make, the things that happen, they happen for good, because it's always going to be saving, and there's not really any way to cheese the system without, you know, going to save blah blah blah. But in normal gameplay wise, that's the best way to do it. So hold off here. Let's see. That's the piece here. Okay. What I'm going to be doing, basically, I'm just going through the options here. Combat delay penalties, get stressed. Yeah, I usually don't like doing that. Well, I guess you can kind of say I usually don't play with a lot of these. So for this, since we're going to be taking it easy, and I'm not going to be too worried about it, let's just kind of turn them off for now. We can always turn them on later. Oh, forgot to explain. Town events, that's something new as well, that you can kind of adjust that there's these special things that could happen during town, some good, some bad. Say for instance, like, oh, that special festival is happening in so-and-so location is cheaper, or something's free.
In
now,
time,
we can't really
you will know the
get
tragic
into detail about a lot of, these
extent of my
places yet,
failings.
because, as you can see, we need to advance further on to actually look at it. So this is our to-do list. Our main thing is that we have all these different major bosses that we gotta fight, and as we get through in advance, you eventually want to completely take out the dark dungeon Darkest Dungeon, which is the manor above here, which a lot of the story revolves around. So to go through, let's look at our heroes here. Better blight resist, that's good. Blight Doctor, okay, that's not so bad. And love interest, okay. Let's see her skills. So, as I was mentioning before, our different heroes have different abilities. As you look through this tab here, our heroes right now, our Vestial, I don't really like her setup. At least that's not how I usually play. Nice thing about the game though is that you can have many different ways of playing, and that's why I think this is probably one of my favorites playing in a long time. Alright, so what we'll do, as we're starting off, we really don't have anything. It's kind of funny going back from my last save into this, and I'm on week 60, and you open up your inventory and you just see all these great things that you have, and you can kind of make strategies as you go along. I mean, I don't know how you guys are, but when you jump back into an old game or you're making a new save, and then you go back into a previous file and you look at the
a mecca of madness and
you
morbidity.
and you're like, oh wow,
Your work begins.
It's fun, but let's just jump in here. Let's see. So also, just forgot to mention about stress. Stress will stay unless you have some way of healing it. In the town, everything was closed, but there's ways to heal stress in town. But as you look at Dismas and Randolph here, the stress that they incurred previously will stay with them unless somebody has an ability or something that you can heal during combat stress. Usually that's a little bit more harder to find. The best way to do that while out and about in a mission here would be if it was a longer mission that would have camping and things along those lines. But we'll get into that a little bit later. So why don't we, just for the sake of time, move this around. And yeah, her things are all good. Nice thing to know is that if you look at the top, a quick look at what the position, the party member where they're basically best at, it gives you a preferred slot. So if you look at all of these abilities, you'll see 4 dots, and like for example, incision.
The cost of preparedness,
3 slots. So when your party marches, gold, they'll be marching in a later person line.
In blood.
So why don't we just start moving? Let's look here. Okay, so this screen is our inventory that we're going to be going out on the excursion. Since it's short, that means we're not going to be resting, and it's basically a short expedition. Try to get some money while we're out there, explore, do a little bit of that. So what I'm going to do, since it's pretty short, I'm just going to take 8 food. And torches wise, I usually, especially in the beginning of the game, I try to go on the safe side. That's just usually how I play games. I'm more of a rather be safe than sorry personality, I guess. Alright, so we got a shovel, skeleton key, torch, and a few other of these guys, so we should be set. Okay, and as we get in, I'll show you guys about the marching order and how that plays into effect. Let's see here. Alright. Okay, so we can see now the map, which is right here in all its glory. It's a very simple and straightforward map, that being because it is a short expedition, and as we go into medium and long ones, you'll have like these many branching ways of going for reaching certain goals. So as you can see here, you move to basically these main points throughout the map. And so what you do is that each room is connected.
If only treasure could staunch the flow.
And so as your heroes move,
otherworldly corruption.
They might encounter certain things, as we've said before. This time a torch, which is always good. So, with her vegetable, I'm gonna move her. Let's move her to the 3rd slot. So, do this. Because as I was saying before, you know, the slot of the character where they're at definitely has importance. Yeah, you know, I'm just laughing because the starting abilities for Dismas and Reynolds, you know, they're the same each time, and so that's pretty straightforward. But your 2 other characters, who's Berenger this time, and I'm not even gonna try to pass. No, I'm gonna take a pass. I pass his name because I'll be honest, I cannot pronounce that. I mean, it'll just be atrocious. Okay, alright, awesome, we surprised them. So, nice thing though is that the more light that you have with your torch, you have a greater chance of surprising the enemy, which is always good. That means no matter what your character's speeds here, you know, if somebody's like just super slow and somebody's, you know, pretty fast like this one's here, they're all gonna go before the enemy. That being said, the enemies, after you're done here, nice, good shot. The enemies here, after your team goes, they will already have a full round count of them too. Let's see. Let's get some light on this guy.
Executed with impunity.
Oh, alright. And right now, let's just cut him down in pieces. Alright. Something else I forgot to mention earlier. So when we're looking at these curios, that's what anything that's like on the ground that's interactable, they all have a slot that you could optionally drag something to it to interact with them. So say for instance, if it was a locked chest, now you can try to open it, you know, brute force it, and you might be able to open it and get something. It might be trapped, whatever. But so this one's unlocked. Now I already know beforehand. You can
Finding
use
the
a key
stuff is only the first test.
on there.
Now it must be carried home.
Unlocked. So basically, we could just open it and grab whatever's in here. All right. And already our pack's looking pretty good. It's just from one room. So, as I was saying before, you can have things associated.
Even the cold stone seems bent on preventing passage.
Very different ways, and they'll have different effects. Here we go. Here's one, for example. So, a lot of times you'll find blockages, and it can be found in many different ways. So we're in the ruins right now, so we got this collapsed structure with all these beautiful skulls and things, whatnot. So it already tells us to use the shovel. That's why I brought one, and we got one before. We pop a torch, keep it nice and lit. Alright, so as we go, we're marching, and here we go. Now there's more enemies to fight, slash down. As we're kind of touching base, and there's quite a bit of information here. As we go along, I'm going to reiterate, and it'll make sense as we go through. But certain enemies, and using kind of common sense, you can kind of tell, okay, well, certain attacks won't work. Now, for example, open vein, it's a melee attack, causes bleed, so the whole point of this slash with the Dismas's dagger here is to basically cause someone to bleed profusely, which is always a good time. So something else to note is that we're looking here, so as I was saying, the yellow dots, the first three means he could be on the first three positions. Since that one's grayed out on the furthest one on the left, that means if he was in this spot, he wouldn't be able to use that. Something else to note is that on the opposite side, if you look at the red, the first two slots there means that those are the only ones he can attack. And you can see they're highlighted right here. It's pretty straightforward. Now, some other abilities, like we got this pistol shot, he can't shoot the guy in front, but he can shoot people back here. And so let's take a shot at this guy over here. Okay. And got a stressful incantation. Oh boy, 20, that's not good. So, some enemies will go brute force and just try to slash or club you to death, as you can see by our beautiful ghoulies here. But some enemies, like our cultist acolyte, will focus on trying to debuff or slowly make your party go insane, because, you know, that's the nicest thing someone could ever do, obviously. No, it's really not good. So, as you can see by our... I'm gonna pass. Take a pass. I already made that joke. Oh boy. So what we're gonna do is let's give her a stun, so she can't act until, like, she won't be able to go her next turn. And then when it's her turn, she'll basically recover from the stun, and by recovering from it, it'll make it so that she's temporarily stronger, has a higher resistance to any future stun attempts. That's just a way to kind of like stop you from kind of cheesing an enemy too much. Alright, so this ability, Zealous Accusations, is one of my favorites, especially early on in the Ruins, because you can attack the first two enemies, and especially early on, you know, they're pretty weak. Alright. Let's get bomb. Okay, so let's do a Grape Shot, just attacks all three, which is nice. Something else to note. Obviously, every ability has strengths and weaknesses with that. So let's look at Grape Shot versus Pistol Shot. So it's got damage modifier -25, -60. So some things will do more damage, and some things will be, you know, a little bit more accurate. Like Grape Shot is slightly less accurate. Its modifier for doing critical
Their
damage
formation is broken.
Almost
Maintain the offensive.
But it's going to attack the first three people, and so that's our goal right now. It's usually great, especially, you know, you've got low health enemies, or you want to try to like quickly take out some people. That's what I usually like to do. Alright, so I'm gonna buff Dismas and see if we can get him to go early. No. Okay, that's 3 damage, we're fine. Alright, so I'm gonna heal.
Another one falls. Success so clearly in view.
And I meant Reynold, not Dismas.
Or is it merely
right.
a trick of the light?
Glorious slash by Reynold here. Let's move on ahead. So, I've got in this room, there's nothing there. So, as you're moving around, you could possibly have a chance to get a scouting event. And so basically what that means is, as you look through here, you can see
Packs
as we
laden
walk
with
up to the
loot
sack.
are often low on supplies.
So, what just happened? Damn. So, as I was going to touch later on, when we just talk about it right now, since, you know, sadly it happened, everybody has quirks. You know, as in the real world, you know, some people are... You know, some people, like Reynold here, are kleptomaniacs and, you know, just want to take ninja loot from the party. You know, that's always good times. You find World of Warcraft and, like, the good old days when you just straight up ninja loot and run away from the people in your guild. Not saying that I know anybody who's done that, but just throwing it out there. Let's see here. So, alright, so we got 2 bone soldiers. Kind of standard, what you think. And I'm getting Arbalest. Now this guy, usually I like to try to take out as quick as possible, because he's a crossbowman and usually likes to attack your backline, which is usually your weakest people, and he could hurt, especially early in game. So I'm basically focusing fire just to, there we go, stun him, put some hurt on him. Let's see. Okay, so just kind of going through this Undead Travel here.
Great is the weapon that cuts on its own.
Damn, alright. So, why you died there is that with
Give
our
them no quarter.
beautiful Plague Doctor, who is a woman, by the way. If I didn't say that earlier, not that it matters. Basically what she did is she threw a plague bomb at him, and so her main focus for our group here is that she is our debuffer. You know, she's trying to use light.
Confidence surges as the enemy crumbles.
Against enemies. And nice thing about the undead here
Remind
is that
yourself that overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer.
They can be poisoned. They can be basically slowly killed with. Oh, thank you again. So they can be kind of slowly burnt out by this poison. Okay, so this, if what I remember, is something that can basically buff our group. And let's use holy water on because it's a holy fountain. Let's see if we get anything special by using something like that. And we just got a nice little healing, and all the stress is gone. So the nice thing about stuff like this guy, this fountain, if we didn't use the holy water,
the light, the promise of safety.
Good, but since since we used an object in the correct way, we basically were able to do mass amount of healing for Reynold and clear all of his stress. Here we go. Here's the scouting that I was explaining before. So right here we see that there's a trap. Earlier Dismas dodged one, which is good because traps are not fun. So you could see traps if you scouted them on the ground, and each hero has basically different chances of disarming traps. Usually the more agile the hero, or whatever, are usually the ones you want to disarm the traps. Let's see here. Okay. So we got a brawler, soldier, and acolyte. We already talked about these two. This guy's more of just a frontline fighter. This guy also causes bleed. Usually I don't worry about them too much. I try to focus on the ones that try to do long-term harm, which is stress. Alright, so we're ready for the old guys. Nice. Let's see. Damn. Alright, so as we were saying before with bleed, Dismas, beautiful strike, adds the debuff and also causes bleeding. Let's see. Let's have pass healer self. I'm not gonna get that name right. No matter how hard I try, I'm not gonna get it. So that's why, please, if you would like to rename her, by all means. We'll have plenty of heroes in the future, and
slowly,
when we are finished here, you could also change
this is how a life is taken.
Of them. Usually, what I like to do is have, like, say, 4 heroes.
Continue the onslaught. Destroy
like 4, let's say,
them
crusaders.
all.
Like to have them all different colors. It makes it easier.
A death by inches.
Blasting through these fools right here. Let's have pass healer self again. And he just bled to death. Which should just make it easier on us. Okay, so we have a chest here. Now this one doesn't say anything. It doesn't say it's locked. It doesn't say it's unlocked. So we can just straight open it. There's a chance it could be trapped. It could be grabbed by the ghoulies or something. But why don't we put a key in it and see what happens? Alright, so, stun skill chance. Awesome. So, why don't we give this to our Bestial right away, since she is our #1 stunner. I apologize for these awful puns. It is late at night, and, it's just one of those days. One of those nights where you just act the fool, as it were. Okay, so, we're going to continue on. I'm going to finish this dungeon up here,
awarded
and
to the
after
brave
that,
and the foolhardy alike.
It's our first episode, because I'm pretty sure we're getting close on time. Come on. This guy steals 10 food. That's 10 rations. Each person normally, when you have... oh, here we go. I was just about to talk about this. Thank you, game. So, as you adventure along, people got to eat. So that's why you carry around food. Normally, you get 4 food, for everybody, so 1 food per person. You know, there's some effects, like some good or bad things that somebody might say require 2 food always, or let's say if somebody's, you know, at 50% stress, like they're a stress eater, you know, that they need to eat more food because they're really stressed out, or vice versa. So I always carry food because the negatives, if you don't eat anything, so first of all, you'll take damage and you'll get a bunch of stress, which is not good, and you have a chance of starving to death, which is not a way I think anybody wants to go. And especially when you're doing this and you have some high level characters, and having them starve to death because you're an idiot and decided not to bring food. Not saying that I've done that. I've done that. Is not a good thing. Okay, so we did basically what the quest required of us. I think it was explore 90% of the rooms. Yeah, I believe that was either that or finish all the room battles. But beyond the point is we finished the quest or whatever was required of us. Nice thing about Darkest Dungeon is that if you feel like, okay, my party's beat up, everybody's stressed out, and you know my bags are just filled with loot, I want to just GTFO, you can. You could just straight up leave. But since everybody's relatively okay and stress is not terrible, I'm going to continue on because we still got plenty of slots in our loot bag here to find some more goodies, because you know we definitely need that. And let's fix this guy, and we still have another shovel, which is great, because if you don't have shovels at rubble or anything that you need to clear a path, you're going to take damage and stress, and that's not fun. And of course, the last room here, we got a full party, and with all the enemy types here. Okay, so I'm going to focus on the back line. These Bone Courtier, these guys, I like to take out as early as possible as well. Anything that, again, I was saying, stress and debuffs, you try to take them out early. Because this guy, he'll slowly drive your party insane, you know, with splashing wine on their face, because I mean, if you constantly have wine splash in your face every day, it may not be the best thing. Let's see, so he's taking a shot. 5, that's not bad. Alright, so he's gonna actually light to death next turn, so I'm just gonna not attack him. So, well, why don't we stun this big guy? No damage, but do I get the stun? Yes, we do. Awesome.
Back to the pit.
Nice. So, Reynolds holding up like a champ, even though he's stealing everything from us. I mean, you know, maybe it's because he feels like he needs to. I don't know. Okay, let's see here. Let's noxious blast this guy, add more light to him. So nice thing too is that debuffs can stack. So he's going to be currently taking 8 damage for every round for 3 rounds. So that's why I'm not going to attack this Courtier, because he's just going to straight up blight to death.
Unforgiving.
So we're going to focus on him. I dodged.
As the fiend falls, a faint hope blossoms.
Why don't we do this? Because he was going to take 8 damage, he would have 1 left. Might as well have it so he can die. And let's just focus all out on this guy. Basically their front line guy. And so the nice thing too is that as you go through the game, you know, there's going to be many different monster types. Some might have similarities, some might, you know, be fairly different, especially the bosses, which I think they did a phenomenal job.
These nightmarish creatures can be felled.
Not only has their own story to tell, which we'll see when we eventually reach the first one, that they'll have their own like 3-part story, and they'll just be the combat, the strategies behind what you kind of should do, or what, you know, the game plan I usually go with are very definitely each one. And nice thing about it too is that, like, say you go to fight a certain boss, there might be like a good 3 or 4, you know, good strategies you could throw against them, because there's so many different types of heroes and so many different like ways that they can kind of play off and feed off each other. So here we have a victory, and if our guys rank up in level, you could get a maximum to level 6. Basically, kind of like how mentally strong they are. It doesn't really mean too much. It just means that they can kind of like play at higher level things. They have a chance of getting something good or bad for their quirks. So Reynold Healer, he's becoming more accurate. So he's basically becoming our powerhouse, our main guy, which is what we need. But he needs to stop stealing stuff because it's really bad. So our beautiful Bestial that I can never pronounce. She's becoming slower when it's bright out. It's not great. Dismas is faithless.
Curiosity,
and
interest, and obsession.
Has a better chance of scouting, which is good.
Mile markers on my road to damnation.
All right. All right, guys and gals. So we just went through a tutorial, brief. Basically kind of like run down and talk about how the game mechanics are. There's a lot to the game, but as we go through, and I hope you'll stay and join me as we continue along the process, not only for the game itself, but as we go through the process of brand new YouTube channel, brand new venture. I hope you guys stick around. I do really appreciate it. It does mean a lot to me. Please, if you enjoy the content, if you want to definitely help out a brand new person such as myself, likes, subscribes, any comments, those definitely help out a channel. Anybody who's brand new, I can tell you that for sure, and I would greatly appreciate it. So with that, I'm going to let you guys go. I'm going to continue on here. Please feel free to check out the next episode when it comes up. I'm going to be putting up an episode a day. Also, with how I'm going to be recording, for the most part for the channel, is I'm going to be batch recording, so I'll be recording 3 or 4 episodes at a time. I'll have my Twitter set up so that way I can kind of communicate with you guys at the same time as we kind of go along. So with that, I'll let you guys go. Please do not get stuck in any dungeons you may find along the way, because you never know what's out there. So with that, my name's Wolf, and I'll catch you later. Take care.